Hello you guys, it is Wendy Ivy Martinez. I am a geek and today we're going to talk about some nice fantasy, some nice romance books that are coming out in October. So let's get started. That did not sound like a DJ thing at all. Alright, so as usual, we're going to start from books that are releasing at the start of the month all the way till the end of the month. However, all of these books happen to be within the first 2 weeks of October. There doesn't seem to be too many books coming out towards the end of October, at least not in the fantasy or romance genre that I see. So we have 8 books in total here, specifically. And yeah, so let's get started with the very first one. Round 1. Read. The first book is called The Witch's Lens, and this is by Luanna G. Smith, and it comes out October 1st. Now this is about a woman named Petra whose husband goes off to fight in World War I, so this has taken place in World War I, the World War I era. Now, Petra is a witch and she has magical abilities, and one of her abilities is to be able to capture spirits with her camera. So she goes around town and basically takes pictures of spirits. Now this catches the attention of a famous sorcerer who invites Petra into his group and eventually becomes a part of their group, and there is this whole occult enemy that Petra has to fight, and somehow it's mixed in with her husband, and Petra has to save her husband from this man. I believe it's this man, and she has to unleash this super ability that she has held on to for so long. So this next book is a very interesting concept. It is called After the Forest, and it is by Kell. Now this book is not a retelling, but what happens after Hansel and Gretel. So if you guys know the fairy tale with Hansel and Gretel and the gingerbread house, and they eat and eat and eat because the witch wants to fatten them up, and they end up killing the witch in the end. I mean, it's a classic story. I'm not giving any spoilers here. This is basically that story and what happens after Happily Ever After. So it has been 20 years since Hansel and Gretel have destroyed the witch. And now Hansel, or Hans in this case, is he has like a gambling addiction, and I guess he's in debt. And Gretel, which is named Greta in this story, basically is able to keep her family afloat by being able to make the best gingerbread in town. And she has a secret. She actually has the witch's grimoire, and she is learning to use this magic. And however, rumors start to come to their town because, you know, Greta makes gingerbread and the witch made that gingerbread house. So rumors start to spread, and then something evil and dark begins to come back into the forest, and Greta might be the only one that is able to stop it and save the town using the witch's grimoire. So it's what happens after Happily Ever After, and it just seems so good, does it not? Like, it's like dark and adult. I don't know, it just seems really interesting. You know what I mean? Like, Hans has a gambling problem. He has a gambling problem, guys. The next one is called Wildfire by Hannah Grace, and this is a romance. This one comes out on October 3rd, and this one looks so good. It gives me very much like summer camp nostalgia vibes. Like, I grew up going to summer camps, and that's why I want to read it so bad. Now, this book is about a woman. Her name is Aurora, and one night she ends up drinking a little too much and has a one-night stand with this guy. Now, after that one night stand, Aurora leaves before the guy can even ask for her name, because Aurora knows better than to expect things from men. Now, surprise, surprise, they bump into each other on the first day of summer camp because they are actually both counselors. Now, Aurora never thought that she would see this guy again, and this guy never thought he was going to see Aurora again, and I guess he had a lot of things to say to her, and they just don't know what to do. Aurora is terrified. It is a summer camp romance, but it's like adult, not like YA, so I love that. It just seems so good, and the cover is like stunning. Can we just like appreciate this cover? Authors or whoever makes these covers, they're killing it right now, okay? I love these animated covers. It's just gorgeous. Now, the next book that we're going to talk about is one that a lot of people have been talking about. It is The Starling House by Alix E. Harrow. Now, this is another author like Grady Hendrix where I'm like, okay, if I read this author's work, I know I'm going to be obsessed. And I'm excited to read this one. And they are the author of 1,000 Doors of January and The Once and Future Witches. And this book looks so good. First of all, again, cover gorgeous. This is a gothic fantasy about a girl named Opal who is a high school dropout, and she basically is trying to do her best so that her younger brother can have a better life. She has always been obsessed with this author's work, and this author's work is named E. Starling, and E. Starling has this 100-year-old home, and everyone avoids this home like the plague, especially the author's grandson, Arthur. They seem to not like Arthur. We don't like Arthur here. However, Opal gets a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go to the Starling house and work there. And she cannot resist it because not only does she actually get to step into the Starling house, but she also is able to make a lot of money and hopefully have a better life for her younger brother. But as she stays at the Starling house, she realizes that the Starling house has a lot of dark secrets and a lot of sinister things, and Opal realizes that this home is very familiar because she has seen it in her dreams. This book, again, looks so good. I've had those dreams before where, like, I am in this house and in this house is so familiar. And it's like a consistent thing where I dream of this house more than once. Have you ever had that? Like, you dream of a specific place, but it's not just one, like a one dream thing. It's like you dream about this place a lot throughout your life. So it just gives me those vibes, whatever vibes those are. Now, the next book is called Night of the Witch, and it is by Sara Raasch and Beth Rabis. Basically, this is about our main character, and our main character, she's a witch, and she suffers through this horrible traumatic experience when her coven is taken down by witch hunters. Now, on the other hand, we have a witch hunter who is secretly against the witch hunters because they killed his mother a long time ago. Now, our main character and this witch hunter male character come together, and they have to work together even though they don't fully trust each other. And they basically want to take down this witch hunter alliance, witch hunter council, whatever it is, coven group. They want to take down the witch hunter group together. And of course, there's some romance in it. There's some fantasy elements to it. The next book, again, stunning cover. It is called The Dead Take the A Train by Richard Kadri and Cassandra Khaw. And this one is about a girl named Julia. Yeah, Julie. Julie is basically a addict, and she is in New York City, and she basically has no goals for herself. She is just trying to live the life, I guess, until one day her friend comes knocking on her doorstep, her friend named Sara, and Sara is in desperate need of her help. And because Sara is Julie's best friend, she will stop at nothing to make sure that Sara is protected. However, Julie has these powers, and these powers end up having a very bad chain of events that puts not only Sara but the entire world at risk of annihilation. So it looks so good. I love me some post-apocalyptic or some apocalyptic tales. Give me fantasy, give me the apocalypse, and it's a yes for me. The next book is one, again, that a lot of people are talking about, and that is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. This is the first Cassandra Clare adult novel, and it's gonna be my first Cassandra Clare novel because honestly, The Mortal Instruments, one, it's YA, and I don't really read YA, and then on top of that, it's such an investment of over like 20 books that I don't feel like I don't want to read it. You know, it's just too much. I'm not interested enough for me to invest into a 20 book series, a 20 plus book series with books that are thicker than a Snickers. We cannot do that, no. So this book is about two characters. We follow two characters. We follow Kell and Lynn. Now Kell is a sword catcher, and he basically serves as the prince's body double. So while he is raised with the prince, he is basically the first one in line to be assassinated if somebody attempts to assassinate the prince. And then we have Lynn, who is from a small town that has a lot of like magic wielders, and they're not allowed to leave their town's walls. However, Lynn does travel outside of it because she is a physician, and after a assassination attempt, these two characters are forced together and they travel down to the city's underworld, where they meet basically the ruler of the town's underground or underworld or whatever you want to call it. And they find out that their town and the king and the whole government system is a lot more corrupt than they first believed. And we have a lot of political intrigue here. We have down with the government here, and it just seems good. Okay, it just seems good. And again, cover, thank you. Now the next book we have here seems really interesting. It is called The Burnout by Sophie, Kinsella, and this book comes out October 10th. This is a romance novel, and we follow our main character, and our main character's name is Sasha, and Sasha is overworked. She is stressed out. She no longer wants to keep working. She hasn't seen her friends in months. She has no romantic / love life because of how much she has to work. So what does she do? She decides to take a vacation to her favorite resort, but because it is not the season of the resort, it is off season, she finds that the resort is in shambles, and she has to share a lot of her time on the beach and everything like that with a grumpy man named Finn, who seems to be just as stressed out as she is. Now, of course, this is very enemies to lovers. They don't seem to get along. They have completely different ways of coping with their stress. However, after a note is addressed to what seems like both of them, they start to get along and talk, and, you know, a romance, I'm assuming, ensues. So again, that is The Burnout by Sophie Kinsella. Anyways, you guys, that is it. Those are 8 books that are going to be released during the month of October. Some fantasy and a couple of romance books. Let me know which ones you guys are interested in reading. And if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, and be notified when I post, because I post 3 times a week, and I post shorts frequently too. Also, make sure to follow my Booktok and my Goodreads. Let's be friends on Goodreads. Let's see what each other is reading. I will like your stuff. I will comment when I can on your things too. Anyways, you guys, and then I'll post other stuff down there too. Anyways, you guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!